Welcome back. We have a full stack application with 2 folders and 2 NPM packages that we need to switch back and forth from. One in our client and one in our server. For example, to run our NASA project, we need to first run our backend API by changing directory to our server and running npm start or npm run watch. And then, in a different terminal, we need to run our client with the front end by changing directory to the client folder and running npm start. This isn't very convenient. Let's make our life a little bit easier. Back in our VS Code, if you were really paying attention earlier, you might remember that I mentioned our NASA project will have 3 package.json files. One for the client, one for the server, but then one at the root of our project. And we'll use this root npm package to manage both the components of our project, so we don't have to switch back and forth all the time. What we'll do is, for now, terminate this client over here, clear the terminal, and go back up to the root of our project. To create our root package.json, we're going to run npm init-y, and this is going to be a package just like any other. Except this package won't have any of its own node modules or any dependencies, at least no dependencies other than our client over here and our server. So let's go into our package.json, and rather than npm installing, we'll write some scripts which will help us automate some of these common tasks that we have. Tasks like running the server first, and then running the client, which can talk to our server. So our goal will be to have a root watch script that we can run to watch for changes in either our client or our server, have both running at the same time, and restart the server if there's any changes. Sounds like a lot, right? But we're just using the tools that we already have, and we can break things down to make it a little bit easier. So for now, I'll keep the watch script empty, and I'm just going to create a script for our NASA project package.json, which will run our server. And what we could do here is we could change directory into our server folder and then run this and or double ampersand command to both change directory into the server and run npm run watch in that server directory. You see, our scripts in our package.json run in our terminal using our shell, something like PowerShell on Windows or Bash on macOS and Linux. This double ampersand symbol is supported by effectively all shells on macOS and Linux. And on Windows, CMD, our command prompt, and versions of PowerShell above 7 all support this syntax. So if you're on Windows, make sure you're running PowerShell 7.0 or above, which, if you're using a recent version of Windows, should definitely be the case. And now we're clear, regardless of who's running our code, we should be in the clear for using these operators. This will run change directory to the server, and after it completes, it'll run the second command, npm run watch. So we can test this. Now in our NASA project folder, we can run npm run server. Oops, and we can tell it's working because there's a conflict with the port that's already in use in my other terminal, port 8000. So I'm going to go into our previous terminal, which we won't need anymore, and I'll shut down the node server running there, and now we can try again. There we go. We're starting our server from the root of our NASA project. All right, so now we need to do the same thing for our client so that we can then run our client and server side by side. So we can do client, change directory to client, and after that completes, we'll do npm start and create React app, which is run on the start command, also includes functionality to watch our files for any changes. This is an approach you'll often see when running multiple commands in NPM scripts. But there's actually a better way. Instead of doing this changing of directory and using our fancy symbols here, NPM provides this npm -- prefix argument, which we can pass in to tell NPM to run a command in a different folder, which we specify afterwards. So npm prefix server, and we'll pass that in actually after our run watch command. So we can do the same for our client, npm start -- prefix, and this time we'll run it in the client folder. This is a nice little shortcut that sets npm's prefix, which is the folder that npm will look into for your package.json with all of the commands that you want to run. If you don't set this prefix argument, we get the behavior we always expect, which is this npm start command will run in the current folder, in the root of our NASA project. So do you believe me? Let's try running our server using our new syntax. npm run server. There you go. Now, how do we implement our script to run both of the commands we just wrote? We want to do npm run server first to run this server script in our current folder from our package.json here. And then we also want to run, maybe using our and operator, the client script, npm run client. So what happens now? Let's try running our command. npm run watch, and our server starts, but we can wait however long we want, and our client will never start. What's going on? Well, remember, our $& symbol here waits for the first command to complete before running the second command. And our server never actually exits. This command never completes until our server shuts down. So we're going to need a different approach. And luckily, it's just a one-character change. We just remove one of these & symbols. Now, instead of running the server and waiting for it to exit before running the second command, our terminal will run this first command in the background, and then it runs the second command. So they'll be both running side by side in the same terminal window. Let's see what this looks like. npm run watch, and our server is running, and our front end loads as well. we can use this very same approach to automate any tasks that use both the front end and the back end. Say, for example, running any tests that we have in both, one after the other. So we could do npm run test -- prefix on our server, as well as, after that completes, doing npm run test -- prefix on our client. Or if we wanted to install the dependencies for our project, well, we could have an install - server command, which does npm install on the server. Let's do one for the client as well. And we'll put both together so that we can install our project as a whole. This time we'll run npm run install - server, and after that completes, npm run install - client. In this case, it's not important for both to run at the same time because our computer will install all of our dependencies for both as fast as possible before we can run our project. And now, our project should be a lot easier to work with, and our lives as developers will involve a lot less switching back and forth between folders and getting confused which terminal we're in. So let's demonstrate the npm install command. I'll terminate the client and server. Let's clear the terminal, make it nice, and npm install first runs any installation that we need to do for the server right here. And then, once that completes, we install any missing dependencies for the client. And we can see that npm created this package lock.json for the root of our project, which just stores the version that we're working with. And just a little unrelated cleanup. In our client, let's take this gitignore file that lists common files that we don't want to track in our source code repository. For example, we often don't want to track our node modules because they're managed by our package.json files, and they tend to be quite large. So let's copy this file into our server as well, so that VS Code won't keep telling us that there's thousands of files that have changed because our node modules were updated. And it won't highlight our node modules folder in green as well. Much better. We can now manage our front-end and back-end code as one project. And we've learned quite a lot about scripting NPM to make our life easier. I'll see you in the next video.